Hi, folks. This is Joe, the neighborhood gardener. This is not my first video that I've shot so far, but this is kind of my intro going into it. And I'm wanting to, since COVID, I mean, there's a lot of people who've been wanting to learn how to grow a garden, what to do, how to make it do what they want it to do. And the thing is, I grow a big garden, but you don't have to have a big garden if you can uh, make yourself a raised bed or even just a small little garden. You'd be amazed at how much stuff you can grow in a small garden, because I know I've had small gardens and I've been able to grow a lot of stuff in it. It's harder to tend is the only thing. Uh, but I'm doing this, because out there I know there's a lot of people that, when things got bad with COVID, they're sitting at home, they're bored out of their mind. Even in the wintertime, you can grow wintertime crops and cool weather crops that are very good. Broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, onions, all kinds of good stuff. Radishes, beets, things of that nature. But just not being so reliant on the stores. A lot of this stuff I'm able to freeze. I'll vacuum seal it and freeze it. I put it in my freezer, and I've got tomatoes and green beans and purple whole peas and all kinds of stuff corn, all kinds of stuff out of the garden that I put up in my freezer. And I'm going to get into canning. That's down the road, but I would like to get it like it was when my mother used to do our garden when I was a kid. Is she canned everything, and we had a pantry that was just unbelievable. Anytime we wanted something, we didn't go to the grocery store to get it. We had it right there. The nice part is it didn't have to be refrigerated. So if you end up running out of power, which does happen, you end up losing everything. Well, that's not good. But if it's canned, you got it in the house. It's canned. All you got to do is, if it gets a little warm, a little cool, it's not going to affect it. But if it now freezes, that's a different story. So, but bear that in mind. But this is just basically, I'm just doing these videos. I'd like for people to know that if you do want to grow a garden, it's really not that difficult. It's mainly about how you set it up and a few steps that you can do to make it easier to tend. Because most people don't want to mess with a strong amount of grasses in the garden, things of that nature. I'll get into that later. But that's basically it. Is you just want to have it where you can grow all the good stuff that you like to eat, the fresh vegetables, and there's nothing like getting fresh herbs and vegetables out of your garden. And I grow about everything you can think of. A few things I don't, but not too many. But anyway, it's a good hobby. It's also to me therapeutic. So, just I'm going to do videos, do my best. Hopefully, somebody can learn something from them and get some benefit. And I'll have it. If you've got any questions, I'll do my very level best to answer them as best I can. Thank you. Hi, I'm Joe. I'm the local gardener the neighbors all get their vegetation from. Anyway, this is my garden. It's about 1,400 square feet. Uh, when I was a kid, my mom and dad had a big garden, and always enjoyed the stuff out of it. Didn't necessarily like working in it so much. I always wanted to go play, but you know what? Things changed. As I got older, I started wanting to grow a garden, and I had never questioned, okay, well, when do you plant this? How do you do this? And as I got older, I went back and asked those questions. And I had some other mentors along the way. I've had a garden now for 23. This is my 23rd year. This is the second year for this garden. I didn't get it in time to get my cold weather stuff in the ground last year. But this year, I'm going to start. Today is March 4th, and I'm going to be putting asparagus in the ground, and I'll work with a video on that. But I brought in 19 yards of sand to mix with this topsoil, and what that does is it loosens it up to where you don't get your root rot and things of that nature quite so easily. That soil is very loose, and that sand mixed in with it just makes for a really, really good garden. And typically in northwest Arkansas, most of what you're deficient in is lime and potash. I put lime on it. I've tilled it 4 times, and I put lime, and then I put ashes out of my house. A lot of people don't want to do fertilizers. I put one batch of triple 13 fertilizer. It's just an even mix of all the things that you need in the garden, and I do a small amount of it, till it in, and that's the only fertilizer that I use. Uh, the rest of the year, I mean, my plants get so big I don't even want to think about fertilizing them. Uh, Last year, my okra plants, I had to pull them out with a four-wheeler. That's how big they were. My tomato plants average about feet, something like that. I had 12 plants last year, picked well over 400 pounds of tomatoes off of them. I don't want to pick that many, so I'm downsizing some this year. I have my rows set out with my stakes, and I've got those spaced at 5-foot intervals. I had them 6 rows with 4 foot last year, and you couldn't walk between the tomato plants. They were so big. So needless to say, I'm downsizing on some of that. But we'll go over. I'm just going to do some different videos and go over a few things that I've learned along the way, and hopefully somebody out there that wants to get into gardening, doesn't really know what to do. I'm going to go do videos step by step, how I do it, why I do it, and that kind of thing. But we'll start with asparagus and garlic bed over here, and I'll set that up and we'll do a video on that here shortly. Hi, it's Joe again. Just giving you all a heads up. This is what I did. I put my asparagus roots in the ground, and they kind of look like octopus tentacles. And basically, there's a crown with the roots, and you take that and fan that out to where those roots lay out flat, but make sure that that crown is pointed up. And you dig a trench about 6 inches deep, and then you cover them with 3 inches of soil, water them in good, and then after they come up and get a little bit of height on them, then you pull about 3 more inches of dirt in on top of those. And the garlic is just real easy to just pop in the ground. And all I do with it, hopefully this will come out pretty good. I just take that garlic and just stuff it right down in the ground where it just barely does go under the soil, because once you water it in, those tops are going to want to stick out just ever so slightly. And then, of course, you can see it's quite a bit of garlic. But now here's the asparagus roots. You can see that they're basically look like tentacles. And I put them, it says 12 to 24 inches apart. I tend to go a little closer together because I know my garden will grow it. It just does that well. But you can see there's a bunch of them. This row is probably 20 plus feet long, and I'll fill it up now. And as I fill it up, then after I get it done, get it filled up and covered up, I'll water it in, and I'm done for the moment. Hello everybody, this is Joe, the neighborhood gardener. I was just going to give you an idea of what I'm doing today. I've actually got 6 broccoli plants, 12 broccoli plants, 6 cabbage, 6 cauliflower, 6 Brussels sprouts. I'll be planting onions, lettuce, two varieties, spinach, salad onions, radishes, beets, I think that's it. I'm not dead certain on that. I've got a lot I'm planting today. But anyway, getting all these cool weather crops in, because we're still going to have some evening cool temperatures down to upper 20s to low 30s in that range. Your warm weather crops will not survive that. These plants here, unless it gets really, really cold, they're hardy. They can tolerate the cold. Once it gets warm is when they don't do as well. But I've got a few other things I want to show you. And right here, these are my blackberry vines that I planted last year. I dug them up in February, replanted them the same day, and got blackberries this very same day from them. Same year. I got 2 batches of blackberries off of them this past year. It's very good, and they're pretty tasty. They're the thornless variety. If you've ever been stuck by the thorns of the thorny kind, they're not a lot of fun. This is another view of the garden from a different angle. And the other day I planted my asparagus, covered them up, watered them in. I did that and got that taken care of. One of the other things that's great for the asparagus is putting bone meal into it's bone meal, blood meal combination. You can buy it at the store, but it's for your asparagus, it really kick it into gear and make it grow very well. I'm going to get everything ready. I've got my row laid out here. As you can see my line down through there. I've got my row laid out. It's smoothed out with a rake. And now what I'm going to do is take these plants and I will take and pull them out of their cells. And these are some of the broccoli right here. These are some of the broccoli plants. And all you want to do when you're planting anything like this is something an old man taught me one time. It's you can pull that cell out like that right there. And before you put it into the ground, you just remember you only want to plant this deep in the ground, right to the top of that. So when you do this, the other thing is, you see how it's compacted. If you'll just take and gently mush that, what that does is it loosens up that root ball and it will make your roots grow quicker. All right, what I'm going to do now is I've got my row laid out. I'm going to take my hoe, and then it's real quick, it's real easy to do. I'm going to take it and I'm going to dig out my holes. And for the broccoli, asparagus, cauliflower, basically I usually put them about 14, 15 inches apart. It don't have to be precise. None of this has to be perfect. All you're wanting to do is just space them where they give a little bit of room for the leaves to grow without running over one another. And that's what you're looking for. And all I do is take a hoe and just dig a little divot out like that. And that's all you're looking for. Like that right there. All right, guys, I've done 3, and I'm going to show you here what I'm doing. All I'm doing is mushing that root ball a little bit and making sure that I get it down right level with where I want it to be. Then I bring my dirt in and I'm mashing that down. You want to bring that in here, little stick, get that out, and then just kind of press it down around that plant, and then create you a little trough that runs around that plant, just like that right there. That gives you a place to water it. That water will sit right there and it'll go straight down on those roots. You're not wasting water on anything else. It just conserves water so much better that way. Just mash it a little bit, not real hard. Just kind of loosen it up. And then bring it back in and do that right there. And it's just repeat the process over and over. But I tell you what, you'll be amazed at how pretty these will be. And as summer goes along, I'll be putting out videos of how this grows, and you're going to be amazed at how big some of this stuff will get. And I've had a lot of broccoli heads in that caliber right there. That's a big broccoli head. You can't find them in the store like that. I had some this past year. There's leftovers from fall planting, but I've had them do that, and the broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, all of them have gotten very big like that here. They seem to grow real well in Northwest Arkansas. But I enjoy it, and if you've had a bad day at work, you can come out here and be working in the garden and do a little bit of work in the garden, pick some stuff, whatever, and you'll be amazed that it's kind of therapeutic. You'll be so much more relaxed. The bad stuff that happened during work, you won't even remember it. But now I'm doing this. But the other thing is I added the sand to this soil, and you can see, I mean, it's just exactly what you're looking for soil. The more compost you can add into it, the better over time. I've got some compost tumblers, some compost on the ground. I eventually would like to get a different setup. These are not working quite the way I wanted them to. But anytime you can add more composted vegetation of any type into your soil, but now don't do wood. Wood's not a good thing because it's got this acid in it, and the acid's not going to help you. On some plants it might, other plants it'll hurt you. But if you'll do that right there, and just, when I get done, I'll come back and I'll water all of these in, and after that, boom, they're good to go. But now you keep everything wet for 2 or 3 days till they catch in, take hold, and the roots start spreading. And once they start spreading, they'll work their way down, and they'll get below this, and they'll get down there where that clay and that topsoil's at, and that's when they really kick into gear, because then they're getting the water and the nutrients from that down below down there. So just bear that in mind and show patience, keep them wet, and you'll be good to go.